Welcome into Wildcat Weekly with Deuce Vaughn here on EMAW Online. I'm Mason Voth as we sit down with the Wildcat running back for yet another week, coming off the loss at TCU last weekend. But the Wildcats will be back at home for the first time in 4 weeks on Saturday against Oklahoma State. Then they will have another game after that with Texas at home. So back-to-back games at home after the long time between the game with Texas Tech. Does it feel like it's been 4 weeks since you've played a home game, or does it feel like longer?
It feels like longer, especially with the bye week. Bye weeks always feel a little bit longer because you get some more extended time away from football. Got to go home for a little bit, so it does feel like it's been a while since we played in front of the fans at the Bill. So excited for that this weekend. Excited for the next 2 weeks to be at home and man, just kind of have that strain of traveling as well off of you, getting to go right down the street to your home hotel and have some familiarity before you play at home is big time.
What's it feel like being able to go home in the middle of the season and probably spend a couple days with family and just relax and not think so much about being in the middle of a football season?
It's big time, just for the fact that you get to recharge. And I feel like our bye week came at a really good time. It was kind of right in the middle of the season, so you get to recharge for the second half in a sense. It's like a halftime almost. So to get to go home and be with my family and kind of just relax, lay on my couch and watch football with my family and look at it a different perspective, not as a player but as a fan of. I get to see some other players that I grew up with play at this stage and things like that. So some things you probably don't get to do every single weekend whenever you're playing every single week. So yeah, 100%.
You were able to bust off a big run for a touchdown against TCU, and the offense was firing all over the place in the first half. Put up 28 points. Everything was going pretty smoothly, even after having to transition from Adrian to Will Howard. What was it like being in the middle of that in the first half? How everything was going, and what were some of the things that you felt like you guys were able to do well to make that be the case? And then moving forward, how do you implement that over the last 5 games of the regular season?
Yes, sir. I feel like whenever Adrian went down, nobody flinched on offense, and as a football team, nobody flinched just because of man. Everybody saw Will Howard, the way that he played, the way he came in, man, commended the offense, gave our playmakers the ball in great situations, to go and make a play, and for him to come out there, and that's the work that we've been seeing, the behind the scenes work that we've been seeing for the past 2 years, as a teammate, as a coaching staff, as everybody in this building. And we have utmost confidence in Will Howard, and for him to step in and play the way that he did, it's no surprise whatsoever. So I feel like he was really a really really main focus as far as the how we were successful. Of course, it's 11 guys on the field, all have one-on-one matchups going on all over the field. But for him to come out there and have the poise, the confidence to come out there and play the way that he did, it really helped us settle in as an offense. And for those 4 drives that he was in, man, clicking on all cylinders. And that's one of the things that we have to do these past 5 games is find that consistency to say, man, every single time we step on the football field, it should be a sustained drive and or a big play to put the ball in the end zone or at least put points on the board. That's the type of offense we feel like we have. And that's going to be what we strive for as we go into these last 5 games, playing against some really, really good football teams, is just finding that consistency as an offense.
At what point did you know that Adrian wasn't going to be coming back into the game, or was that something where when you saw that Will was going out on the field with you guys, you're like, okay, I guess Will's going to be out here with us?
No, so after the first series, I forget who came up to me. Somebody came up to me and said that Will was going to be going in. So the first thing I did was I went and found him. I went and found him. He was getting snaps from Hayden Gillum at the time, and I came up to him. I told him I was like, man, this is not new to us. This isn't new, man. We've been side by side out there on this field before. Nothing's different. You know what I'm saying? We're just a little bit older now. We got a little bit more experience, but man, let's go get this thing done. And the way that he responded to that, it kind of told me like, oh yeah, this guy's locked in. He's ready to go. And man, he showed it from the first play they got in.
It feels like we saw the best version of Will Howard that we've seen in his 3 years at K State. Is there something that you can feel that is different with him this year, or is that just part of? I mean, the quarterbacks might have the toughest job out there with all the things that are on their plate. So now being in the program for 3 years, maybe he's finally a little bit more comfortable or has all that experience. How would you sum up what we saw on Saturday from him and the reasoning for that?
That's the type of football player that we've seen. and we know that he is. And man, it's not necessarily the fact of the matter that he got a whole bunch better over the offseason, or man, he improved his game a whole bunch. Of course, he put in the work and the time and the effort to be a better football player, but he was put in some tough situations whenever he first got to Kansas State. To be a freshman quarterback playing in a COVID year, when you don't know who's playing, you don't know if this guy's going to be out, this guy's going to be out, and having to come into an impossible situation and having to learn the offense and then go and be the quarterback, be the guy that everybody's looking at. Man, it's an impossible job. And I feel like just over these past 2 years, man, he stayed in the fight. He stayed dedicated to the grind. He stayed dedicated to making himself a better player. And it all came to fruition this past Saturday. And it was not surprising to us. That's the thing that is crazy. People like, man, it was surprising to see him do that. It's not surprising to us. We've seen it every single day. And for me, I feel like just the confidence, the experience, and going into a great situation. We have the playmakers on the field, all over the field. I feel like to go out there and he can say, I can put this ball out there where it needs to be, and my guy's gonna go make a play. And to have that, I feel like reassures him as well.
Oklahoma State is one of I counted tonight, and my counting skills can be off occasionally, but I believe Oklahoma State is one of the three Big 12 schools that you have not beaten since you've gotten to K-State now, since you were able to get West Virginia last year and add some others along the way. What is it that makes Oklahoma State so difficult to match up against? Also knowing that in the past 2 seasons you've been without Skylar for those games, and it's been Will in a tough situation. And then in last year's game, Will ends up going out pretty early, and Jaron Lewis has to play the last of the first half and all the second. So, what is it about the Cowboys that make it so difficult, and what do you expect from them this weekend?
They're a really good football team. Just kind of point blank. They have really good athletes, really good football players, and they play well together. I feel like the last 2 years, that was something that you saw in their defense was they had a lot of seniors, a lot of guys that have been in that program for 3 to 4 years and understood the system, understood how things worked, and whenever they went and played, they played for each other, and they played really well together. So it was hard to beat a disciplined team that's not going to make a lot of mistakes on defense, and you're gonna have to manufacture your own yards in a sense. You're gonna have to manufacture your big plays and really have to sustain drives to keep their offense off the field. And it's no different this year. Man, they're still a really good football team in my eyes. Watching film, they have the athletes all over the field, and it's a new defensive coordinator, so it's a new defensive scheme. But they do a lot of the same things that you see last year. Get into some spinner looks, some things like that to try and mess your eyes up. I feel like that's one of the things that they did really well was they brought blitz. Don't do it a whole bunch this year, but can get into it. And they kind of play with the jack a little bit more than they did in the past couple of years. So that's something that you have to keep your eyes on, just knowing where he's at and accounting for him and how that pertains to their defense. So they'll try to mess your eyes up and things like that in that nature. So it's just going to have to be on our P's and Q's, especially whenever they jump into 3 and 4 down. They do both now. So you have to make sure that you're on your P's and Q's at all times because one little mishap, they can fire on you.
You talked with us last week about where you felt maybe health wise, and we saw really not many concerns. It looked like on the field for you. You missed a little bit of time running to the locker room, but you came sprinting back out, and then you ripped off the touchdown. Where would you rank this season amongst the three in terms of week to week health for yourself, and what is it like for you preparing for a game when you are a little bit banged up versus 100% healthy?
100%. I wouldn't say there's really any change over the past 2 years that I've been here. Once you get into this part of the season, that back half, you're gonna have things that are nagging at you. You're gonna have things that are messing with you. But I said this a little bit earlier throughout the week. Is the really really good ones can negate those things and go out there and play as close to 100% as possible. Because at this point in the season, nobody's 100%. And for myself, it's really just finding time throughout my day to find a time to get into a normal tech, get a compression in to help out my legs, to find some time to just stretch out. Man, I set an alarm every single night at 10:30 before I go to bed. I had a stretch regimen that I found on YouTube and things like just to help out, keep my body in the best shape possible, and of course, getting treatment every single day. And we have a great athletic training staff that whenever you come in, they're going to have a sheet ready for you and things that you have to do. You have to stick to that sheet. It's going to be real easy to say, I'm just going to take this rep off because my ankle or my knee is hurting today. But sticking to that regimen, sticking to that routine to make sure that whenever you wake up on Saturday, you understand that I've done everything I need to do to get my body back to where it needs to be to go out here and play this game. And kind of have to be like that the entire year. So whenever you get to this point in time, staying consistent is going to be the biggest thing.
Thinking about going into this week with everything that has gone on health wise for the team, did it seem out of the ordinary last week with the amount of guys that just kept seeming to either have minor things or major things that popped up over the course of a game, or is that something that you didn't really notice until people brought it up after the game that you lost? I think the count was like 8 guys that were limited in some capacity last weekend based off of injury.
It was you noticed it during the game just because whenever you're on the sideline, you see a defensive player that is a starter for you, a contributor standing on the sideline. It's one of those things where you kind of go up to and ask him, like, "Man, you good?" Because I mean, the game is so bang bang and everything's going on, and it feels like bullets are flying at all times, even when you're not on the field. That it's kind of hard to keep track of everything. But it's something I've never experienced in my playing days. That many, I guess, limited guys, that many injuries in a football game. But man, you just gotta keep battling, and that's one of the things that you get into this part of the season. Like I said, you just gotta keep battling. You gotta find a way, and I feel like that's one of the things that we gotta do is we gotta find a way, especially these last 5 games because everybody's kind of feeling this right now, no matter who you are.
Thinking about Oklahoma State being the opponent this weekend and the bright orange and Pistol Pete and all that goes with them. If I asked you to rank or at least give some of your top uniforms in the Big 12, where would Oklahoma State be on that, and how would you rank the other schools in there? Because I'm kind of different. I actually enjoy the color orange. My wife hates it. She thinks it's an ugly color. So, but I'm on board with orange. So I wanted to get your opinion on it.
I have Oklahoma State's pretty high, actually. I feel like they have a lot of combinations that they can get into, where like all black, all gray, and all white. Throw let's see, orange on a white, orange on a black. So I like their combination. I have them really high, probably top 3 for me. Borderline 1, borderline up there on 1, honestly. Outside of ours, I'd say, I got to throw that. We number 1. But trying to think, let's see. I like I like Oklahoma. My favorite color is actually red. I'm probably gonna get some hate for that.
Well,
Yeah, it's always been like that. I'm a big time purple now, but my favorite color has always been red. So Oklahoma. Let's see. Who else is nice? I like Texas Tech. A lot of anytime you can have like combinations and things like that, I like them. So Texas Tech. I like Texas Tech's. Let's see who else we have. Um, I like Iowa State's. Iowa State's is pretty cool. Kind of, yeah, I like Iowa State's. Iowa State.
so it really is you love the color red. That's what I'm getting out of
Yeah,
this.
I do.
Doesn't matter the
I
shade.
I do. And I feel like I'm gonna get some hate for that, but I do. I do like the color red.
All right. Well, I'll stop you before you name the other
Yeah,
school that has red in their colors. Where would you rank Baylor? They wore those all gold like mustard yellow uniforms your freshman year down there. Where would you put Baylor?
I have a love hate relationship with them. I feel like they're all white and they're all green are really really good. I really like they're all white and all green. I don't know. The all yellow kind of it doesn't really sit. It doesn't really sit right with me. But not terrible. Not terrible.
Okay. That's fair. Won't get you in trouble at all there. Another kind of off the wall question for you. If you could get the size, the skill, the ability, whatever, to play any other position on the field, which position would you choose? So, I mean, you can go with something as simple as, "Hey, I want to be the quarterback," or you can go be a defensive end with Felix or something.
Right. So I get to pick my build too.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you get the size and skill that goes with that position.
Oh man. I gotta go wide receiver Calvin Johnson. Be 6'4", 240 and run a 4.3, 4.2. Yeah, give me that 100%. I feel like that's like the complete opposite of who I am right now. Hey, trust me, no insecurities whatsoever. So, Calvin, yeah, Calvin, like a Calvin Johnson build at wide receiver. I've always loved Calvin Johnson, just like a go up and get it type guy. So I got to go with that.
Okay, that's a good one. I kind of assumed that you would go either wide receiver or something on the defensive side of the ball. I didn't picture you saying, "Well, I'd kind of like to be an offensive lineman," be like a right guard or something.
Now, like let's see, like a Trent Williams, like 6'7", 340, ball of like muscle. Now I'd be that pull around the yeah. Now I'd do that 100%.
Okay, that's good. Thinking about some of the other things that are coming up here. Basketball season starts on Tuesday. They'll have their first and only exhibition game, then they'll start the regular season. In your time at K-State, how often do you get to go check out a basketball game, and what level of enjoyment do you get out of getting to go watch that?
No, I'm a big time basketball fan, and had relationships with all types of players that have came and played through here. So I try to go out anytime that I can, especially whenever we get into the back half of the year. If they have a game throughout the week, I'll go out there in December, and then once we get into the spring, I try to get to almost every single home game that I can. Just because I do enjoy those games, and I feel like we've built a pretty good squad this year, so I'm excited to go out there and see what Coach Tang's got dialed up for us this year. So I'm super excited.
You mentioned having a relationship with some of the other players that have gone through there. What are your relationships like with some of the other athletes at K State outside of football, and what are some of those conversations like? Whether they're just generic friendship type stuff, or kind of bouncing things off that are unique to each person's sport, but maybe gaining something from that.
Yeah, so pretty generic friendship stuff. You see them at dinner, you see them at breakfast and things like that. It's a little different during the season. You're kind of secluded in a sense whenever you're in season. So like whenever they get into season, they'll be a little secluded. But during the summer and things like that, whenever you have time to go up and they'll have like workshops for us and things like that, and get together and mingle and things like that. You get to learn about their stories. I mean, these are athletes that are just playing a different sport, but they hold a lot of the same values that you do, and they're doing it for the same reason. So I mean, anytime you can talk to them and get to know somebody like that, it's been really cool. So I met some really cool people because of it. Not even just basketball, but even on the baseball team and just things like that. So it's really really cool, man.
You have any baseball background in your past that you can give us some insight to?
When I was super young, man, super young. So I mean, I guess I got out of it before you got to the when it became like really really big. So not too much.
Have you ever thought about maybe like getting in touch with once you graduate and you go on with a football career, but maybe reaching out to a baseball team like Terrence Gore and Gerard Dyson made livings off of just being like pinch runners in the playoffs. Maybe you call up a team and be like, "Hey, I can run for you if you put me on the roster and swipe some bags."
I would if they gonna pay me. I wouldn't mind. I definitely wouldn't mind to get out there and running some bags, man. Get out there stealing some bases. I wouldn't mind at all.
Okay. All right. Well, that's just something to keep in mind then, I guess, moving forward. But for now, the focus will be on Oklahoma State and the kickoff at 2:30 on Saturday. And Deuce, we appreciate you joining us again this week.
So I appreciate you having me today.